because a lot of people don't know anything about the history.
We can. I like conversation.
Thank you.
I once considered myself a gifted conversationalist.
Well, thank you for coming. You are watching the Highland Park Show. My name is Councilwoman DeBlonde Jackson. We are live streaming on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Watch us via Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Like, following, comment, share, and subscribe. And you can also call and comment. To inquire about the sponsorship, which is very important, which is how we keep going, and advertising, contact us. Just go to Wjzz Cool TV official at gmail.com. And thank you. If you are watching, we appreciate you watching the comments. This is the Highland Park Show. And what we are trying to do is elevate our community. And we want to talk about positive things about Highland Park.
Definitely.
And the progression. And this is going to be an ongoing type situation. So this is my first show, and I'm so excited that I was asked to do this because Highland Park needs good publicity, positive in a manner. My family moved to Highland Park in the early 60s. And back then, a lot of families were moving in, and the town was pretty much, had all types of culture. We had African, Arabic, white, black, Polish, you name it.
Real diversity.
Very diversified. In fact, it was similar to what Hamtramck is now, and a lot of the diversity is still in Highland Park. It's not as much.
Right.
But Hamtramck, our sister city, they started out like we did, but they were mostly Polish at the time.
Right.
So now you have all kinds of different nationalities there. It reminds me of New York almost. Being a small, not as big as New York, but being a small melting pot.
Definitely. You can really see the melting pot during Pushki Day.
Yes. I ate my fair share of it too. Well, I have a special guest here. Were you born in Highland Park?
I was born in Highland Park at Highland Park General Hospital.
Oh my
which is
gosh!
The new Bella
This
Vista.
is Miss Stacy Barker, and she has so many talents. In which, when I found out that she was a Highland Parker, I says, well, let's try to get her on and see what she has to offer us and tell us some wonderful things about Highland Park from her point of view and perspective. And she's a very talented individual, has a lot of different businesses, and I welcome all of our talented women and men who stem from Highland Park. Thank you for coming, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, what we're going to do is, the first show, I think we should talk about the history of Highland Park. What do you think, Stacy?
I think like you think.
Okay. Because I'm telling you, it's really incredible. I'm going to read a few things. And I'm going to let you, and if you are interested in knowing more, we can always research these things because I don't claim to know everything.
I love research.
But I do claim that I love my city of Highland Park, always have, will continue. And as the councilwoman, I'm definitely in the running for my seat, and there's several people, wonderful people who are running as well. But I'm so happy to try to get our little city in order. We've been having little cleanups all over the city, and this Saturday we managed to get that Woodward corridor somewhat straightened out. Now it's not as perfect as I would like it, but we're working on it. And I think it takes time. Like, for instance, I used to tell my students when I was teaching, well, how do you eat an elephant? A little bite at a time. So we have to take a little bit at a time and get our city beautiful like it once was. When we first moved to Highland Park, my mom, Edna May, and my dad, Henry Earl Jackson, when you walked down the street, it looked like a tunnel of trees. Just made you feel so welcome. So many trees. Of course, they call it the city of trees. And I'm just very happy to. I just always embraced Highland Park, and I never really left. As old as I am, I never really left. But I'm thankful that my mom and dad thought that Highland Park was the best city for them and their 6 children.
You know what? I think if you're a true Highland Parker, you may leave Highland Park, but you'll always be in Highland Park.
I always say Stacy Highland Park for life. We say HP for life.
Right.
And the only thing about that is, I think it's true because I always seem to have come back. And even although they've had a lot of different folks folks travel way back from everywhere when we have our little events. And I was so happy, Mr. Douglas, he always, and him and his committee, they always have a wonderful event where all the Highland Parkers can come back and hang out at the Elks Club. Which back in the day, I think it was the Alibaba. I think it was right there on Manchester. And then I think I went to school in early part of, the early part of the 60s. That's when I believe the Elks purchased that club. I would have to get the correct dates on there. I can't recite everything because I wasn't around when a lot of things happened. But I do remember that that particular club, we had a lot of Arabic people. And when I was a little girl, I used to see all these Arabic men walk out with these turbans, and I thought that was so cool. Walking out of that club. But at that time, there wasn't a plaza or a grocery store. But we did have a store called Ivanhoe that was there on Woodward Avenue for a very long time. In fact, it was right there at Glendale and Woodward, where the car parts place is now. And then there's a little restaurant, and it took up that car parts place in that area where that restaurant, which is closed, it's been a Coney Island and several other different businesses there. And that was part of the parking lot. And everybody went to Ivanhoe to the store, and my mother in particular, because she had these wonderful dinners that she would prepare for New Year's. So Tom, who was the owner of Ivanhoe, he would make sure he ordered Mother's trout because she made this wonderful trout. And of course, looking at the Betty Crocker cookbook, the trout always had to have an apple or something in its mouth to make it superb. And she would platter it out and make it look just wonderful, as if she was, I guess, just like a cookbook.
It was about presentation with her.
Yes. Was it Julia Childs? That was one of her favorite shows to watch on TV. And when we moved to Highland Park, that was at a time when we had those really huge TVs. They were huge. I mean, my gosh.
They call them big back TVs.
Yeah, no, this is worse than big back. These were those stereos that it took two men, and they were long. Some of the TVs had the stereos that had the record players to them, remember?
Right, yeah, the turntable's right on top.
The turntable's right.
One side opened up for the turntable, and the other side opened up
for the TV.
Yeah.
So
No, where you put the albums.
Oh, yeah, the albums, right, albums. Now, we haven't heard that terminology in many years. But I tell you what.
LPs.
It was LPs, that's right. LPs, I'll never forget. So if you're young out there watching, you probably won't know some of these terminologies. You might have to ask your great-grandmother, because I think it's...
But while we're here doing this show, we'll do our best to teach you.
Yeah, we'll try to. It's always good to share knowledge. In fact, maybe we'll bring some on just so you can see them one day.
Yeah.
But anyway,
awesome.
In Highland Park, there were so many cultures that you couldn't help but eat some different food when we had our block parties. At our block parties, they were quite cultureful at times. I learned about hummus years ago in Tabbouleh because some of our friends were Arabic, and then we had African food. We had a lot of Africans that lived at Highland Park, so we ate some of the African food.
Right.
So we had very interesting block clubs. Talk about culture. Oh, my goodness.
And that's what we need to get back to.
Yes, culture.
We have
to get... there's a gentleman that I have played with for years, Mr. James Tatum, and he always tells me, you have to go back to the roots. He really... The roots. That's how he would do it. So he really cracked me up with that. But then it's a lot of truth to that, because if you don't go back to your roots, how will you know where you're going if you don't know what your history was?
You have to know. And just a sidebar, I went to see him down at the orchestra.
Yes. You probably saw me too on stage.
Probably.
The flutist.
I did. I bet. Wait. It was like maybe 2019.
Yep. That was our last performance.
See, we met and
That was
didn't even
our last
realize
performance. Yes.
it. So awesome.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Stacey, I played with so many people. I got a chance to play with all the greats around Detroit, and I'm so thankful because many of them are gone now. Teddy Harris, Marcus Belgraves.
Ooh, you have photos, videos?
You know what? I'm gonna ask Teddy's brother. Some of his relatives I can get in contact with. The best person for me to contact is his stepdaughter, Carla Hall, who recently was married a few years ago, and congrats and kudos to her. Wonderful Highland Parker. She worked at DTE for many years, and she brought really wonderful things to Highland Park, and she really helped out a lot. So kudos to her. But her mother, Miss Martha Harris, wonderful lady. For years, she was Teddy Harris's business manager. I called her. Oh, she was rough. Martha could put on a show, have Teddy, of course, would concentrate on the music and his arrangements. In fact, he taught me how to arrange music, and I'm very grateful to that. And
So
Martha,
cool.
Martha was the business head, and she would book things for him, and thousands of people would show. She was awesome. Those connections really put him over the top. And I have to give kudos to my ancestors because that's how I learned my jazz background.
Definitely.
Through him and Marcus, and I don't know if anybody remember Beans Bowls, we call
I
him
do.
Charles. And a whole host of others. I can't name everybody. But we got a chance, back in the day when we were little, they had programs to teach children how to play jazz. And at the time I was 9.
Right.
And they would put us in bands, and we would accompany, Stevie Wonder and Aretha Franklin, And then as I got older, Teddy always called me to play the flute parts for Aretha Franklin or whomever, and to, he would arrange parts for me. And I'm just grateful to all that because I would have never had that opportunity.
And look at that exposure. Yeah. But think about how many of our children these days are not receiving that type of exposure.
Yes.
Haven't they still canceled music class?
Well, when you're trying to do online and music, unfortunately, it's sort of like if you're doing therapy with your therapist and you have to have your legs or you have to use your arms. Well, music, you do your legs and your arms and your breathing. And you have to have somebody to teach you how to do those things because oftentimes, everybody breathes regularly, but everyone doesn't know the proper management of breathing so that you can hold notes out very long. And that's what you want to do. You want to hold those notes and make things sound really nice and have a nice tone while you're doing it. And plus, you want people to enjoy it.
Right.
I can remember I taught all kinds of classes, and the classes that were very, very challenging to me were some of the string classes because I was used to a band background. But in music, you have to teach music, meaning everything.
Right.
From vocal music to strings to jazz to classical band music and so on and so forth. I can remember when I first started teaching beginning strings. Oh, it was very trying. But as I got better, and my students, I have a lot of students that are very professional, and it doesn't matter if they're strings or what. Because if I couldn't do it, I'll bring in the professionals and whip them into shape. And I would pay out of my own pocket to have students to get them to understand how they want to get better and make the most out of their musicality. Because after all, I have never had to look for a music job. You know why? Because I believe that music is for the people. It doesn't matter to me. It does matter. The payment is great and I enjoy it. But I paid a lot. I performed a lot of places just at the spur of the moment. Just for the sake of maybe this person need to be cheered up or this group. So sometimes I've learned through the Bible that the more you give, the more he gives to you. So you have to keep on giving because it's true. I know everybody know that song, but it's a true song. Because at my age now, I never have to look for a performance. Everybody calls me to perform.
See?
Or I go play if I feel like it. I'll get out in the middle of the street and play in a minute. Or practice. I love practicing. So sometimes Mom has a really big backyard. I'll get out there and start practicing my flute, Next thing I know, I hear a little bird playing some of the notes that I'm playing. It's really interesting how nature picks up on that. It just goes to show they understand what you're saying. So
That's deep.
yes. So Stacy,
Yes.
tell us something about what's going on in your life and your business, because she's a busy lady with your Highland Park used to be self. How about that?
Born in Highland Park. I also lived in Highland Park.
Yes.
So I have Quality Care Company, and that's my home health care business. So that's pretty good. That's like what's closest to my heart because I feel like seniors and people with disabilities should be treated and cared for with respect and dignity. And with me, it's about the quality of life is my mission in life because
Oh, that's awesome.
I want you to feel good. You know, even if you're old, sick, I don't care what you are. I had a man that was like 95 years old, and he was a retired doctor. And every day he wanted to get up and get dressed and shave and put his clothes on, and I would do exactly that, you know. And I would talk, you know, about his past. So that's like, you know, really near and dear to my heart. And then I also have SYB, the company entertainment. So I have an artist management company, and I have Stacy Barker Philanthropy. That's where I do a lot of my open speaking, giving back to the community. I'm an advocate for women who've been sexually abused, domestically abused, and human trafficked. I spent 22 years, 3 months, and 18 days in prison for killing a man who was attempting to sexually assault me. And in 2000, the Honorable Judge Damon Keith made me one of the first women in the state of Michigan to ever have a mandatory life sentence totally vacated by the federal court. And so now, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan have adopted my law. So the judge has to fully instruct the jury about the jury instructions, and if they don't, the attorney has to just, you know, stand up and say, well, according to People versus Barker, so now I have case law. So
well, let me ask you a question before you get all into that. Do you think that the people have come to accept such situations and really help the women who may have had that happen to them? Is it become acceptable amongst your peers and different ones that you know of?
There are a lot of people who are extremely understanding, accepting, but then, you know, you're always going to have that few, you know, who just want to throw some negative energy into it. But you just have to overlook them and think about what you're doing and think about the people you're helping and think about the difference you're making in your community. So
right, that's awesome. It's just like me. The reason why I decided to be a councilwoman was because of my mom.
Oh, can I interject something?
Sure.
We need to get the word out.
Yes.
You running.
Yes.
So I'll be helping her with her campaign just so everybody knows.
Well, we appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And the reason why, because to be honest, I had never thought about being in politics at all.
Really?
But I was so angered at the way my mother had to struggle when she got a $4,000 water bill. And you can imagine a senior citizen getting something like that in the mail and how they feel.
That's horrible.
That. So in receiving that water bill, I was just flabbergasted, and I couldn't get any headway as to why are they doing the people like that? Because at the time I was touring and doing some things, and in 2012, Mom asked me to come stay with her, and I said, "Sure, Mom." But at the time, I had my own house, and I had to vacate that house because I couldn't do two.
You did an Airbnb with one.
Yeah, but they didn't. That wasn't popular back
then.
Okay.
So,
I mean, maybe if it had been, I could say, "Oh, yes, you know, the folks coming down, going to a basketball team, they could Airbnb up in the house." You know what I'm saying? But I said no, it was a little too much for me because I wanted to concentrate on her, and then she had the stroke in 2013. But before she had the stroke, I had a party, and I played some blues, and she was just a dancing up in the window. I'll never forget it. I played one of her favorite blues by Brooke Benton. I can't remember. Oh, I think it was "Baby, You Got What It Takes." Because I remember when I was little, she and my daddy used to dance to that. I was the only one at home watching because everybody else was in school. I was the youngest. and she and Daddy would dance to that song. So that's one I played, and she danced to it. My father's been deceased, but
see, those good memories are just like what really just makes me smile and just warms my heart. Those memories are important. Yes.
So I decided once she told me about what was going on, because she was a very private person, and she was the type of person, I'll take care of it myself. Very proud woman. And when she showed me that bill, I was like, whoa. So we finally figured out a way to get it paid. And then I was like, well, there must be others. And it was some people had paid $6,000 to the water department.
Oh, that's horrible.
Some people had paid other amounts that were way higher than what Mom had paid.
What was the duration of time?
What happened was, I guess something happened with the water at the water tower, and the mayor at the time, I guess, made an agreement with Detroit and switched it over. But it was supposed to be a temporary switch. And next thing I know, Gleewa, I don't know all the acronyms right now, but anyway, they had pretty much taken over the Highland Park water there and hooked it up with the Detroit water system. And it forced, I guess the force of the water, different water, it did force quite a bit of lead into the pipes. So therefore, it's a lot of other things going on, and we'll talk about that later, because Highland Park, thank goodness, we had a good attorney who went in there and fought, and we won the lawsuit because they were going to charge assess each citizen, I think it was $16 million divided in assessment. So you all know what happens if each citizen had to be assessed. That meant that it would not happen.
We're talking about straight up hardship. It's almost like Highland Park was a baby.
Hello.
Hi, are you
Hello.
there? Are you there?
Hello.
Hi, could
yes. How can you hear me?
Yes. Can you state your name and join us?
My name is Mr. Hill. I'm just wondering, are we going to talk about some more of the development of Highland Park or something of new?
Well, right now, this is my first show. If you don't mind, we're just getting settled in. We're talking about a little history. I wanted to bring a guest on to talk about the developments because I don't have all the criteria. So if you're here next Thursday,
something about Amazon, isn't it? Amazon coming to Highland Park or something?
Yeah, no, that's coming to 8 Mile and Woodward area. So that's like Detroit, really, technically. Highland Park, the boundaries are 6 Mile to Tennyson, and Oakland to the Lodge. So what's the development in that area right now, as of now, and what to be in the future?
In the future, there's a means group with a development. Everything hasn't started yet. There's resolutions that have to happen. We've had workshops in the city council on such things, and we're going to move forward.
You know, I'm in the process of looking for residential property so I can open it up and service the Vietnam vets.
Okay, that's not a problem. There's a lot of people that are interested in that, and there's some other groups which I'm not at privy to say because I don't have all the information. I don't want to give you the correct information. But if you call in next week, I can have somebody to help you out there. How about that?
Okay.
I'll have a guest
all
that
right.
can share all the information. Thank you for calling.
Anytime. Thank you.
But yes, you know, Highland Park has a lot to offer. And what I want to do is bring in guests who are involved in that situation, like the mayor, if he be so willing, and others who are in the housing division, and who can show us exactly what's going on, what's going to happen, who's doing what.
I would
it's
definitely
just
like
a lot
to be
to go
invited
on.
to that show.
Yeah.
You invite the mayor.
Yeah, sure. We'll see what happens. But if he'll come. His schedule's very busy, so I try not to bother him too much.
Oh, I'm
but
sure
I think
he
it's
will love
important
to come and support you.
advertise, to let people know that Highland Park is on the way up.
Definitely.
But just for your information, for some of you who do not know, I'm just going to do just a little tad bit of history. Not much, just a tad bit. Highland Park was a farming community on a large ridge at what is now called Woodward Avenue. And Highland 6 Mile, which is 9.7 kilometers north of Detroit. In 1818, prominent Detroit judge Augustus B. Woodward bought the ridge
and platted the village of Woodwardville in 1825. The development of the village fell. Another Detroit judge, Benjamin F.H. Woodrow, son of Michigan Supreme Court Justice James Woodrow, attempted to found a village platted at Cassandra on the site in 1836, but this plan also failed. So, by 1860, the settlement was given a post office under the name of Whitewood. After a succession of closures and reporting of the rural post office, the settlement was finally incorporated as a village within Greenfield Township and Hamtramck Township.
Stop it.
Under the name of Highland Park in 1889. Can you believe this? But in 1907, Henry Ford purchased 160 acres just north of the Manchester Street between Woodward Avenue and Oakland Street to build an automobile plant. And you can see that old plant today from Woodward. All you have to do is pass down and just check it out. Construction of the Highland Park Ford plant was completed in 1909, and the area's population dramatically increased in 1913 when Henry Ford opened the plant's first assembly line.
Get out of here.
The village of Highland Park was incorporated as a city in 1918 to protect its tax base, including its successful Ford plant, from Detroit's expanding boundaries. In 1910, Highland Park, then a village, had 4,120 residents, and they only got 4,000 more now. 5,000.
Only because of white flight.
So I guess if it started in the beginning, it's coming back, and then it will increase.
You know, everything circles around.
Yes, it does. So this is really interesting. So between 1910 and 1920, during the boom associated with the automobile industry, Highland Park's population grew to about 46,500.
Okay.
An increase of 1,081%, reaching to its peak around 1927. The growth of Highland Park and neighboring Hamtramck broke records for increase of population. Both municipalities withstood annexation efforts from Detroit.
Get out of here.
I don't know how they do it. We hope we can still continue to be not annexed to Detroit, but we'll see. In 1925, Chrysler Corporation was founded in Highland Park. It purchased the city's Bush-Maxwell plant, which would eventually expand to 150 acres and serve as a site of the company's headquarters for the next 70 years.
That's so deep.
Now, I'm going to stop right there because that's some really interesting history. And I think in order to move forward in history, you have to know where you came from.
Definitely.
So knowing that we came from a little bitty sparse number of people and grew into over 46,000 people, and now we're back to we're still more than a village, but we're increasing. So at the city level, there's enough vacant land and areas to increase the population. So the way I see it, you can't go anywhere but up. And with the various industries that possibly are coming through, which hopefully I can bring someone in to discuss those things, that would be awesome. What do you think?
You know, I agree, but I was also going to add that trying to get people to move back into Highland Park, we need to run a campaign where we offer them an incentive. And as a councilwoman, I think that would be the perfect platform.
I think the first place we have to start, we have to have housing.
Definitely. Because
we have so much vacant land. And I was thinking more or less, instead of going side by side little houses, we need to build up apartment buildings, condos, having the face of downtown looking like the face of Birmingham's downtown, Berkeley's downtown. And it's a possibility because the specs are pretty much the same. As a realtor, I am a realtor. And as a realtor, when I look at the specs of Birmingham and I look at the specs of Bloomfield and other places similar, Lathrop Village, it just shows me that there is a lot of promise and things can move forward. But before we move forward, we have to have agreements with the legislative as well as the administrative bodies. And, of course, the people. And we have to make sure that we can do this in a proper manner. Because if we don't, we won't be able to.
Definitely.
Yes. So I can say this, that we will move up and we will move forward. But it's gonna take a little time to do that.
Definitely.
It's gonna take a lot of time. And if we do not take the time out, let our neighbors know that they are one with all, that we are all together in this. We are not separate in this endeavor to move our city forward.
Please invite me back so we can continue this.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Again, this is Stacy Barker. We appreciate her for coming. And thank you. I will definitely invite you back.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Have a nice day, everyone.
And you too. Well, I was very happy that Stacy could come on board with us. And let you know some of the events that's going on in Highland Park. A really important event is happening. I want everyone to know that Commissioner Martha Scott is having an event Saturday, California, in Woodward, right across from City Hall. And they're going to be doing vaccinations and getting all information via sponsorship of Wayne County. Now, the main thing that we could do is anyone who needs vaccination or whatever you need, if you have any issues or problems, that will be the place to come. And thanks goodness for Commissioner Scott. She has been a stable person in Highland Park, and she lives in Highland Park. In fact, we live down the street from each other. Of course, as I mentioned, that she and my mom were in a block club together, so that's really cool. There are some things and issues that we must do in Highland Park. I would love for you to vote for me, for one thing, because I'm on a mission. I believe in flying high, moving forward, lifting our city up. I really can see getting that McGregor Public Library in line, but I know it's going to take a lot of work, because that was the place where myself and others, we learned how to use the computer. Because back then, especially when I came out of the service, they had just started using computers. But when I was in the service, we still did our paperwork, hand weigh and files and that, because I was administrative assistant for the band unit. I was a flute and piccolo person in the Air Force. I had a wonderful time. We traveled a lot, did a lot of things, played for President Reagan and different dignitaries from all over the world, and it really was a wonderful time. But when I came back to Highland Park after I left the service, and also I taught in the schools before I left the service to Highland Park, and the schools were great. I mean, back then, if you got a education in Highland Park, 9 times out of 10, you were able to go to the junior college and get a 2-year free education as well. And those college credits did transfer. So to whatever college that you went to. So those are some of the things that we need to bring back. And it's really important that we educate our children. They don't necessarily have to go to a college. Maybe they want to go to a trade situation where they can learn auto mechanics, dealing with computers, engineering or fixing computers, any other type of electronics, electrician, those type of areas you don't necessarily need a college education for, unless you're going to take it up a level a little higher, like engineering or something like that. But you can still earn a decent living being a mechanic or being a computer specialist, fixing computers. That doesn't take a college degree. But what we have to do is have our young people start at an early age finding out what they want to do. And in Highland Park, we had all those things along with the academia. And we need to move those things forward. Get a high school in the area. Now, I will say that Highland Park has been a treasure to me because I wasn't born in Highland Park. Because when I got to Highland Park, I think I was 5 or 6 years old. 6, probably. And I had so many friends and others who are very well educated, and doctors, lawyers, you name it. Highland Park was top of the line. I think we were taking calculus in the 11th grade and chemistry and all kinds of upper level courses. So a lot of people were able to have the necessary credits to move forward to become a doctor. Had the best nursing program in the state of Michigan until it was shut down at that time by the governor. So those are some things that we've had. So from the ashes, Highland Park will rise again. But we have to be positive. And that's what I'm about, being positive about the city. And also, I wanted to let you know, again, that you are watching the Highland Park show. And this is, I'm Councilwoman DeBlonde Jackson. And it's live streaming on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Watch us via Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. If you like, follow, comment, and share, and subscribe. And if you want to call in, please do. And if there's something that I can't help you with, I will find somebody that can give you the information. To inquire about sponsorship and advertising, contact us. Go to Wjzz Cool TV official at gmail.com. I like to say that because it is important that we talk about the people and the sponsorships that's needed in order to continue to talk. Because when I talk about Highland Park, and that's all I know, and I'll tell, and each time I come on, hopefully I can have a bit more history or something that to elevate our citizens. We have a lot of seniors in Highland Park, and there's a lot of issues with the buildings and such. And we have to move forward to make sure our seniors are where they should be, comfortable, and have something for our youngsters to do. Because after all, they're the future. And I would like to comment and thank Mr. Roger for asking me to come on the show and host. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for me. And I'd also like to let you know that Pride United LGBT will have a party here on Ralston, 19730 Ralston, and it's for Pride Month of July. So feel free to stop by. I'll probably have more information as we get closer. And it's a backyard. It's going to be music and all kinds of things. And all people are great as far as I am concerned. But what we must do is respect one another and give kudos to one another. I always like to see the positivity in things. Of course, it doesn't turn out that way all the time, but why not have something positive? I can say that last weekend we had the wonderful cleanup again, and it looks just absolutely so much better on Woodward Avenue going through Highland Park. It is my goal to have like-minded people to go on all the major streets in Highland Park, and hopefully with funding, or if we can figure it out, we can get everything looking great, have everything edged up, get those tumbleweeds. My gosh, there was so many tumbleweeds on Woodward. I was so glad some friends of mine went down. A few have gotten rid of a lot of that stuff, and it makes the city look way better. When you're coming enter 6 Mile, it looks a whole lot better. Once you pass Smith Camp and a few other places, it was looking a little rough. But we had a Highland Park Rejuvenation Day last Saturday, cleanup. And my goodness, I just want to thank everybody for participating. It made the city look better. And a lot of times, and a lot of people were saying, wow, what a difference a day makes 24 little hours. And it really did. I hope to have a continuous day and possibly have the second weekend in June or the second Saturday. Let it become the Highland Park Rejuvenation Day. We had a number of dumpsters that Highland Parkers could go to and put their things in that they wanted, trash, bags, whatever. And we're going to try to do better. And I've spoken with all types of businesses all up and down the street. And it just took just asking them, we just want this strip to look better. So when your customers come in, they feel comfortable, confident that mice won't run out of the brush and all that sort of thing. So, with constant talking and everybody getting on the same page, we can make it happen and make it happen in a big and fine way. And I can also say this that Highland Park is I call it the heart of Detroit. Someone told me that. Miss Wheeler mentioned that to me. And I was like, wow, the heart of Detroit, huh? Okay, well, that's good. Highland Park is the heart of Detroit. We had at one time with Chrysler and Ford there, it was, I guess, like Detroit, a motor town, where we had the assembly lines and the cars just coming up off of them and and moving forward. And it's moved Highland Park forward. Yes, Highland Park is a little bit down, but but what's down will come up, and rise up, Highland Park, rise up. Your time is coming, and we are so happy that the people in Highland Park are coming together and seeing the big picture. I was driving in my car, my truck, and I was seeing people just picking up trash who weren't asked to pick up trash and putting them in the wastebasket. So what we have to do is change our mindset. Don't just go down the street and you finish a pop and throw that, or potato chips and throw it down. Just hold it. There's a waste paper bag coming. And we, on Woodward, we were hoping to establish something where we have all the same waste baskets. But if they get a grant for that, great, and I'm all for it. But until we get that, if you see some paper down on the ground or something that's really big, just pick it up. I know you may not have a glove on. Maybe you have a piece of paper. You can pick it up with the paper and throw it, or put it to the side so that it's not so noticeable if there isn't a trash can around. But if you can find a trash can to put the article in, let's do it. Let's keep Highland Park clean. Let's do the best that we can to be the best. Because after all, we are who we are, and we are all that we got in Highland Park. So if we, as Parkers, trash our own city, that's telling a person that, oh, let's just go to Highland Park. They don't care. And I get that a lot, and I understand where they're coming from, but we shouldn't allow people to come in our city and do such things. We have to take pride in our city. We have to be thankful for the things that we have, not for the things that we wish we had. What the here and now. It's important. I am praying that people vote for me because I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to bring that library back, and I'm finding out how we can get our wonderful artesian water back. I'm telling you, that water that we had is just awesome. And I can say this: it was the best water ever. And at times, members of my family, cousins, uncles, they would bring different containers over and take some of that good Highland Park water home with them because they felt that our water had a better taste. And it did. But now, with the issues of water, it doesn't taste the same. But hopefully, maybe one day, Highland Park can get their water plant back up. And I want to be right there in the mix to help move this forward. But with the infrastructure starting to be replaced and some pipes and this and that, because I had no idea, and I don't know if anybody else had an idea until I found out that a lot of the pipes back in the day are wooden. So those wooden pipes are pretty much collapsible and, of course, had to be replaced. So the more we talk about it and more we talk about the different things that need to happen, I think we'll be okay. But the problem is that we all got to be on the same page. We can't get a lot done if everyone is infighting or bickering. But what we can do is get together in a positive manner and show our children how we all can, we have the same ideas, the same goals, and we can get along and get things done and move things forward. I really appreciate being asked to do this show, but I can say one thing. I am proud to be a Highland Parker. I have always tried to do my best with my neighbors and everything, just so that we have a wonderful, wonderful city and everything to work out to the good of Highland Park. I can remember in high school when we had great literature teachers, and we had a great debate team. So oftentimes, I remember Lillian Macbeth. She headed that along with and her brother, who was also a councilman, Titus McCleary. He would always come to those events. At that school, and Lillian Macbeth. My goodness, those children would go up in competition and they would win, and they were good too. I mean, the way they were going, they can control the Senate or any other, hold any meeting and be outstanding. And she was good at helping them. But what they learned was more than just a debate. They learned about life. And they learned, and most of those students that were in that debate group, very intelligent people now, very wonderful with their own families. And it just goes to show, if you raise a child in the way it should go, good things are going to come to that child. But not only that, they're going to learn a lot of things about life in general and the pursuit of happiness the proper way. And how to love yourself. That's one thing you got to do. Things happen to a lot of us, but you still got to love yourself. That's the main thing. And move on. But in Highland Park, I can say also that there are a lot of wonderful people in Highland Park who, the ancestors who are now no longer with us, they gave us a great background. People like Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler, Mr. Blackwell, and a whole host of others. Thank goodness the lady on my street, I think she's the oldest one on my street now, Miss Gracie. But these are all of the elders that really helped us get through the hard times. And it's still a little rough, but good times are coming. And what if you're starting on the ground, you have nowhere to go but up. So we want to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. I don't want to move sideways too much unless it's going to be, unless we have to actually. And we might have to take a few side steps before we get our water and water plant up and running, and that McGregor Public Library. It's really important because literacy can save people. Literacy can literally put people in a different direction if they accept reading and becoming literate. Because I have had students who come from backgrounds where there's not a lot of books in the home, and oftentimes they had to do special things for their parents as far as the literacy piece was concerned. And I also had a time when at some of the schools, in fact in Highland Park, they had classes for adults who wanted to become more literate, and they were free classes. So, because the more that you understand, the more that you know, the better off you are, really. Because if you're sitting somewhere and you can't read, you have to ask someone to read for you, that's just holding you back. So that's what we have to do. We have to make sure and that our parents, students, and everybody can read literally before they leave high school or before they leave grade school or elementary school, wherever it is. If they're in kindergarten, let's start with those letters. If they get to the third grade, okay, now we're going to start with reading third or fourth grade material. But the key is, for children, is that the parents have to take them. So some of the parents, young parents of today, they're just learning that. And they're doing a great job raising their children. But oftentimes, they need help. So that's why back in the day we had people all around us when we did something. They told our parents, and you might have gotten whippings from the neighbor, the lady down the street, and they called your mom and told them. And then when mother got back or dad got back from work, you know you had it coming because the neighbor had to call and say that you were acting a fool, I guess. But those good lessons have made the person that I am today, and I'm thankful for those lessons. But in Highland Park, it was such a small community that those lessons that we had were very important. But we had parents who, some may work and some didn't work. But some of the parents that did not work, they held activities for all the kids on the block, the children on the block. And you never know. We might have a movie, outdoor movie, meaning we'll make it ourselves. We'll get up on we had one parent that made a stage. And we got up on this, and then we were, because we had a mixed group. So we had the Beatles, we had the Eagles, we had the Supremes, and we had individual entertainment, poets, you name it. We would have acting things going on as children. And we had parents who would make our costumes. In fact, Mrs. Parks was one of our costume makers. And she dressed us up in whatever costume that we wanted to be in. And she would write the scripts for us too. So, or we would help her or tell her what we wanted to have in the script. And we would put on shows for the neighborhood. And we'd dress up in our little costumes. We were kids, but we were trying to find stuff to do. And the one thing that I loved about Highland Park is there were so many talented artists. Teddy Harris lived around the corner, so did Marcus Belgraves and a lot of the other guys. So you could hear music and jazz after 5. That's all there was. You heard jazz permeating the neighborhood because a lot of the rehearsals were held around the corner at Hal McKinney's house. So those days were wonderful days. And that's where I got all my jazz from. And in fact, in the 4th grade, me and a group of students, we used to walk down to Selden and Cass, which is now the DSA, and they had a group there called the Big Band, and all the jazz artists was down there because we just got Mr. Walker's band class that year. We were in the 4th grade, and we felt that we deserved to learn jazz, and that's what we did. A gang of us, or 10 of us, had our instruments. Some of the boys had their drumsticks, the drummers, and we went down there, and Teddy Harris and Marcus and Max Roach and all those guys were down there, and we looked at them, but what we did, we sat in right with them so we could look at the music so that we could learn what they were playing. So that history in itself, Highland Park is a very cultural place. We have so many artists, even right now to this day, in the city who are available and can, the goal is, let's get our water back. Let's get that library back. Arts and culture and beauty. We had all that. In fact, Mrs. Wheeler was the head of arts and culture. And we always had every year, prior to her being ill, when she had to give it up, we had a Martin Luther King parade in the wintertime every year. So you can imagine. Of course, sometimes, and I was a band director during the time, some of the times when we had the parade, I was a band director at Highland Park. And I can remember some of the trombones and trumpets freezing up, but the drummers could still continue. That's when it really was getting cold, and this was like in January 15th at time, or the second Mondays when we held these parades. And wow, it was just awesome. All the wonderful history. It is so important to keep that history. And even up to date, with all the development that's going on, we hope to have someone here. I hope to have someone who could talk about that because that's important. But we also got to know where we came from so we can continue these developments and move Highland Park forward. there's a lot of things that's happening, a lot of different businesses. There's a lot of people that want to come and put businesses in Highland Park and have homes, build homes. And if you do, you need to contact the city, the mayor's office. Contact me. I ran into some folks that want to do just that. And it's enough vacant land to go around so that we can build this city up. From the ashes, I say, we're going to rise, Highland Park. We're going to rise. And we're going to be better and better and better. As I used to babysit, and one of my, I can't remember which niece or nephew it was, they said, you know, Auntie, we're going to get gooder and gooder and gooder. And that's what I say about Highland Park. We're going to get gooder and gooder and gooder until we get to the best. I can't think of nothing but happy things to say, but I can truly say this. I would like to thank WJZZ for allowing me to participate and to be a host of this program. And I would also like to remind you that Pride United LGBT Party for Pride month of July is going to be held at 19730 Ralston in the backyard here at the station. And also, don't forget about if you need a shot or you want to get vaccinated, or let's say you may have an elder or sick and shut in at your church or wherever you are, contact Commissioner Scott or just come up Saturday, this Saturday, Juneteenth celebration, June 19th at Woodward in Colorado, and get a vaccination if you need it, or bring your family, or talk and find out if someone needs to bring the vaccination to your family member. And they will do it. Wayne County is really doing a great job at vaccinating, and they're setting up shops pretty much everywhere because they want all to be able to assemble and associate and do some of the things that you used to do. But of course, you got to remember that the pandemic is still out here. It hasn't left and gone anywhere. And I myself, I enjoy wearing the mask because I found out that I have a lot of allergies. And since I've been wearing this mask, I haven't had to use any type of situation as far as using a nasal spray or anything. So I'm thankful. So again, you are watching the Highland Park Show with Councilwoman DeBline Jackson, asking you for the vote so I can continue my mission here in Highland Park. Live streaming on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Watch us via Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Like, follow, comments, share, and subscribe. To inquire about sponsorship and advertising, contact us. WJZZ Cool TV official at gmail.com. And I am thanking you for allowing me to serve you today here on the station and for being asked. And I just want to say, please, please, please allow me to continuously serve the citizens of Highland Park. I have much work to do. I would love to continue, but it's going to be continued and continued. And we're going to make Highland Park that wonderful place of work, live, and play. And please feel free to call, and we can talk about things. We're going to talk about development and all kinds of things next time. And I want to thank you again. This is Councilwoman DeBline Jackson of Highland Park. Thank you for listening, and I thank you greatly for being a part of this time that I have on